name is Christian Schultz, and my presentation for Geography 760 is vertical farming, the savior of our populations. There's been a concern as of late. We have a skyrocketing population, and yet land availability is going in the opposite direction. It's not a sustainable model to give land over to urban development and turn farms into city blocks full of new houses or apartments, as well as businesses and industries. That seems not to bode very well at all. It can make you think of one thing for sure. It's something of a societal and ecological time bomb. It's an ugly picture. When you are faced with the prospects of a climbing population combined with shrinking farmland, that is a lot like a time bomb for the human race. As you can see here, farmland is being given away to urban development. That means less space to grow our food, and that is for more mouths to feed. There has to be a solution, and the only viable solution I can foresee is building up. We have concept drawings already of what a farm built up would look like. Many farms. What many farms would look like when built up. We have built up with other urban applications for many decades when we ran out of room in a local metropolitan area. There are skyscraper residences and offices, but there is no agriculture in skyscrapers, at least none that are tall enough for the meantime. Why do you think that is? Apparently, only the natural ground could provide sustenance. At least that was the only viable way for most of human history. Of course, though, we did have technology decades ago to make it possible to put farming in skyscrapers. It would be like greenhouses that would be stacked on top of each other. But back in those days, the costs would have been incredibly prohibitive. We keep getting better at it, though. It's now changing, and this may be a brand new idea to put ageless practices like farming into incredibly tight spaces, and would require lots of miniaturization. We have developed miniaturization, and it is far more mature than it has ever been. Many believe that miniaturization has matured enough to the point that we could stick farms into the types of buildings like the one you see in the background. There are some more reasons why traditional farms must be replaced. There's agricultural pollution like fertilizer runoff, as well as animal runoff. Sometimes oil can be spilled, because there can be oil wells on farmland in a few places. And there's so many more reasons. Forests have to be cut down to make way for farmland. That doesn't need to happen anymore. We don't need to sacrifice oxygen producers in order to feed more mouths and therefore accelerate the process of the greenhouse effect. But if you realize that the cancer-causing chemicals are also found in the runoff water, then you might think twice about the traditional way of farming. It is all the more reason to go to a closed system, like the one you see right down here. In this closed system, the water, once used, can be evaporated and condensed and reused indefinitely. If it's hermetically sealed, then theoretically the vertical farm would only need one shipment of water after it's constructed, and that might just be it. And other impurities and byproducts can be filtered out. Perhaps fertilizer from a vertical farm could be reused, as well as certain other chemicals, but at the very least, they can be put into holding tanks to be brought away and disposed of in a more environmentally friendly manner, or hopefully recycled into something else. If this initiative happens, famines may become a thing of the past. It's hard to turn cities back into farmland. That doesn't happen as often as the opposite way around. And it's hard to reclaim land from the sea. That is incredibly expensive. That's why it's easier to make farming go vertical when land runs out, because you can stack floors on top of each other. Also, thanks to its climate control, you can build it anywhere, in any climate. You can even build it in Antarctica and have it be a cheaper, more local way to feed the scientists stationed down there. And if you build a vertical farm in the middle of a refugee camp, all of the residents would be eternally grateful for your help and the help that building provides. It would look quite a bit more cooler than ordinary farms. And even cooler than that if you find them in the middle of refugee camps and people there, therefore, no longer starve. This is why vertical farming is going to be the savior of the future. There is so much more space in the sky than there is on the ground. That can be economically made for farming, especially in tighter areas. Singapore already has its first vertical farm. New York and Tokyo will be catching up. And I do hope to someday eat my first meal ever made in a vertical farm and see if that's a better type of meal to have than the traditionally made ones. I don't know about the taste, but in principle, it will be. I wonder if you have any questions. Thank you very much.